I was watching one of my favorite channels this weekend, Wranglerstar, and Cody was talking about what kind of tools should you have for your shop. What were the first tools that you would buy? And he mentioned a table saw and a grinder, a vise, and a workbench. And I thought, those are actually very good ideas. Those are the basics. That's what you need to get started with. But as I finished watching the video, he mentioned that he was going to talk about the minimum that you needed. And I thought it'd be good to go on to the next step. What is the next step after you've had the table saw and you've got the grinder and you now have a vise and a good bench to work with it on? So I thought I'd pull out a few of my tools and show you what I thought would be next. Some of the guys mentioned that they would rather have a drill press. Drill press is nice. Drill press is a great tool. It allows you to do a lot of things. But I think for most of the things, if I didn't have a drill press, I could get by with a hand drill. I'm going to talk about things that you can't get by without, that you can't replace with something else. First thing I would talk about is a welder. This is a Miller welder. It's a 200 amp. It's old. It's probably, I don't know, World War II. So it's been around a long time. But it's a solid machine. It's got a copper winding in it, iron core. It's very, very durable. 200 amps is more than enough to run any kind of arc that I need to weld. And it's more than capable to weld multiple pass and go really thick. The welder only has a short stinger on it. I've used welders at work that had long cables on it, and at home, most of the time I'm not dragging the cables up a 50-foot scaffold, so I have a long enough cable that I can reach something that's about 10 foot away from the welder. That should be more than sufficient. Along with the welder, I have a good welding helmet. One of the more the fancier ones, the electronic welding helmets that have the auto darkening. Those are nice things to have, but the old flip down helmet seems to work pretty well for me. It's what I learned with, it's what I weld with now. Next is an air compressor. Now this one is a 60-gallon air compressor with a 7-horse motor, 240 volt, does 11.5 cubic feet per minute at 90 psi, 155 psi maximum pressure. Do you need to go this big? No, but the difference between this one and one that was slightly smaller was a couple of $100. This one ended up costing me almost $900. Saving a couple of $100 and ending up with something that wouldn't do quite what this one does just didn't seem to make any sense. Once again, I was in charge of maintenance shops in large factories and bought air compressors that were 200 horse. So having something too small to do what I needed to do just didn't seem like a good choice for me. Then I come to the belt sander. Now Cody has a grinder, and I think a grinder is a great thing. I have a couple in the basement, but Cody already mentioned grinders. This is the next step. This belt sander is a 2-inch wide belt. Now you can get the larger ones, and there's many online that you can buy or get plans to build that have a 72-inch belt. I see nothing wrong with having a 72-inch belt. This is a 48-inch belt. It's more than enough to do what I need to do. The thing I like about a belt sander as opposed to a grinder, changing the grit is a matter of just slipping one belt off and putting another belt on. It can be, in this case, you just loosen this handle up, shove this down, slip the belt off, slip the new belt on, let it come back up, it's spring loaded, tighten the lock screw, you're ready to go. This can have a huge variety of grits on it because you can get belts from plain old aluminum oxide, which what this is, all the way up to diamond, 3M diamond blade, or diamond belts. Very good investment. It lets you do a lot of things. It also doesn't generate as much heat in the part as the grindstone does. Rather than spending $150 on a wheel to get a diamond wheel, you can spend $20 and get a diamond belt. The next item was a gift. My 12-inch chop saw. With the right blade, you can cut steel on this. I don't recommend it, but if you only had the option of buying a few things, then this one will perform a lot of tasks. With this blade on it, I can cut molding, chop 2x4s to length, make nice square cuts in 2x6s, and allows me to break down larger lumber into shorter sections. We already said that we were going to have a table saw in the shop, so this is the next logical step up. Radial arm saw. That monster over in the corner, that's a radial arm saw. 14-inch blade, huge thing. It's actually too big for most of the jobs that I do. This one, I can pick up with one hand, carry to the job site, and do what I need to do. It's not a hand tool, but it is a very, very good thing to have. What it's sitting on is a portable workbench. Now, only if you have one of the big benches, when the big benches are actually easier and cheaper to get because they're just made out of 2x4s and whatever material you have sitting around. This bench has a vise on the top, and it allows me to carry it to the job site, set the chop saw on top of it, and go to work. Since we're talking about the second tier of workshop tools, you already have a table saw, grinder, and the other various woodworking tools that you might need. I found that if I have a metal lathe, I can do everything that all the other tools can do. If I don't have a shaft, I can make a shaft. If I need a grinder, I put a grinding wheel in the head of the lathe. If I need a saw, I can put a saw blade in the head of the lathe. This machine will make every other machine going. Yes, it'll do milling too. With the addition of a simple piece of angle iron, you can take compound, mount it on the angle, turn the vise on its side, and use the lathe as a milling machine. So this machine can make itself and every other tool in your shop.